What up, everybody? I am the Transportation Hub, and welcome back to my channel. Now, it's been a long time since we last heard or seen each other, because in today's special video, I will be reviewing the long-awaited plan of the Brooklyn Bus Network Redesign Draft Plan for the local routes only. Okay? Now, for those of you who don't remember, earlier in the month, on Thursday, September 1st, 2022, the MTA has finally released their draft plan for the Brooklyn Bus Network Redesign Plan. And if you guys read over the draft plans or what have you, it is eerily the same or somewhat similar to the Queens Bus Network Redesign Plan. You know, we have the 4 different types of routes. We have the local route, which connects every neighborhood. You got the limited routes, which is spaced easily different than local stops. Local stops connecting high frequency neighborhoods. You got the rush or the zone routes, which has both the nonstop express portion, an express portion, and a local portion on segments of a bus route. Alright. And last but not least, we have XT, which is Crosstown Select Bus Service, which serves high frequency corridors. Alright, so it took me a while to get this video together because I had to go around Brooklyn, you know, to catch every single bus route in existence in that borough of Kings County. Now, for those of you who don't remember, back in 2019, early 2020, I believe, I did a video review. I did a commentary video of the kickoff for the Brooklyn Bus Network Redesign Plan. If you guys want to rewatch that video that I made over 3 years ago, the link for that video will be down below. Will be down in the description box below, and I will also have it carded up above. Okay, if you want to rewatch the redesign videos for the Bronx and the draft plans for both the Queens local and express bus networks, the links to those videos will also be in the description box as well. Alright, now as we all know, the Brooklyn Bus Redesign Plan kicked off in late 2019. They were in the process of planning, of course, but you know, in March of 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic happened, and it just put a huge freeze on all of the redesign projects for like 15 months up until August of 2021, which was last year, of course, where the MTA decided to kick off to restart the redesign plan for the bus networks in each borough. Alright? The Staten Island Express Bus Network was the first to get redesigned way back in 2018. After the restart of the redesign projects, right? The Bronx was the first borough to get redesigned. Its local bus network is fully redesigned. It got implemented. The redesign plan went before an MTA board, and the MTA board approved the final plans for the Bronx bus redesign network, but for the local network, of course, because they're still trying to figure out the express network. And the changes to the local network was implemented back on June 26, 2022. Alright? Now, earlier this year, the MTA had also released their redo draft plan of the Queens Bus Network. And that is where they dropped the QT labels and just use the existing labels of existing bus routes. As you all know, the Queens Bus Network redesign plan, right? The Queens, the Queens Bus Network will have 85 routes. Okay, some routes are getting unified, some routes are getting retired, some routes will be shortened, some routes will be extended. There'll be some routes that'll be shortened on one end, but be extended on the other end. All right, and there's a couple more than a handful of new routes too, also featuring the brand new B53 route, which will operate between Sunnyside and Broadway Junction, and it also features the B57 and B62 limited, which will both be limited routes, of course. The B57 will operate between downtown Brooklyn and it'll be extended up north from it'll be extended up from its eastern it'll be extended on its eastern end from Maspeth to Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue subway station. Alright? And the B62 on the other hand, right? The southern end will be fine, but however, its northern end will be extended from Long Island City all the way up to Astoria to complement the proposed Q69 rush along 21st Street in Queens. Alright? Because we all know on 21st Street the Q100 will be retired. Right? The Q100 route will be retired. The B62 will be extended from Long Island City up to Astoria, complementing and substituting for local limited stop service, what do you want to call it, for the Q69, which will be a rush route service along 21st Street. And yes, the reason why I say that the B62, the B57 is terminated in downtown Brooklyn is because a whole new route, which I will mention in my summary later on because I don't want to give too much information away, is because a whole new route will be created and it's going to replace both the B57 service between downtown Brooklyn and Red Hook IKEA Terminal. In fact, the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign, it has a few new bus routes. Okay, some of them have been converted into limited stop routes. You have new limited stop routes. Some of them have limited stop service on their routes discontinued, full blown local. And also, we also have a brand new route, which will be a crosstown select bus service route, which will connect customers in the neighborhoods of Kensington, Flatbush, East Flatbush, Brownsville, Aldous Lane to JFK Airport. Alright, that's that. And also there's another particular route that will no longer operate along Bedford Avenue. Instead, it'll operate along Nostrand Avenue due to the fact that Nostrand Avenue has an existing bus lane over there, which will make bus service more frequent and reliable. And another local route will be swapped from New York Avenue to Rogers Avenue to complement its select bus route companion. Alright, I don't want to give too much time here, okay? And also some bus routes are being retired. Some bus routes are getting retired, okay? And I don't want to give too much, but I will say this, right? Just like how Queens has a total of 85 bus routes in the upcoming plan, with 35 local routes, 27 rush routes, 16 limited stop routes, and 7 crosstown select bus service bus routes, okay? Oh, and I also forgot to mention, right? Some Queens bus route service will also be serving Brooklyn, okay? As mentioned from the Queens bus redesign plan, the Q8 will no longer serve Spring Creek Gateway Mall. Alright? It will terminate at the New Lots Avenue 3 train station. Okay, and that route will operate 24/7. That route will operate 24/7. 24/7. Alright? And service between East New York and Gateway Mall will be supplemented by an existing bus route in Brooklyn. Now the Q56 and the Q56 will remain the same. The Q24, however, is going to revert back. It's going to revert back to its 2010 service cutsways. All right, terminating at Broadway Junction with a whole new route, the B53 that was mentioned. That was also mentioned in the Queens Bus redesign plan. Will cover service along Broadway, but not just for the Q24, but also for two more bus services. Okay, one bus route, one local bus route which will no longer serve Rosenberg, and another bus route. So three more, in fact. Another bus route. No, two more bus routes would also be retired as well. And the B53 will also have a 24-hour frequency service. Alright, and another route that comes to mind is the proposed Q68. Okay, its existing service will have the Q101 on Steinway Street in Queens, operating to Steinway, and another bus route which will also be discontinued as well, will be covered by that route, the Q68. Alright, that's that. And one more. Oh, yes. And I also have to mention, the proposed Q35. The proposed Q35 route will be a rush route, which will make select bus stops along Flatbush Avenue, and will make its regular stop in Queens. But instead of the bus operating along Newport Avenue, it's going to operate along Rockaway Beach Boulevard. It's because the Q22 will not, the proposed Q22 from the Queens Bus Network redesign plan would not operate between Rockaway Park and Roxbury. Yes, so all that service will be transferred over to the Q35. Oh, and last but not least, we have the brand new Q51 Crosstown Select Bus service. Alright? The Q51 Crosstown Select Bus service will operate between Cambria Heights, 235th Street, Linden Boulevard, and Gateway Mall via Linden Boulevard, Rockaway Boulevard, Cross Bay Boulevard, and the Belt Parkway. You know, the proposed bus route will obviously hop along the Belt Parkway and will utilize the Cross Bay Boulevard exit, the Woodhaven 17N Cross Bay Boulevard Woodhaven exit. Like, for those of you who drive, right, you know that Cross Bay Boulevard has two exits when you get off the belt, right? There's 17N for Woodhaven. This will make you travel up north, which will make you travel up North Cross Bay Boulevard. If you travel up north of Cross Bay Boulevard will become Woodhaven Boulevard. And if you go south of Cross Bay Boulevard, you're just going to go straight to the Rockaways. Alright? So the proposed Q51 will use the 17N exit. Duh. And it will get off at exit 15 on the Belt Parkway, which is Erskine Street. You know, I can't pronounce that name, so I'm just gonna call it the Gateway Mall exit. Exit 15 on the Belt Parkway is the Gateway Mall exit. Duh. Yes, and also for the Brooklyn Bus redesign plan, right? The B41 Limited will be transitioned into a cross-town select bus service route. Oops, gave that away. The B44 select bus service will no longer serve Sheepshead Bay Knapp Street. And another route that comes to mind. And oh yes. Sorry. Oh yeah. The B83 will operate as a straight, streamlined path along Pennsylvania Avenue. All right. Enough of me talking now. So I'm just gonna go right ahead and showcase the beautiful proposed routes. But before I do, right, when I showcase these proposed routes, right, I'm gonna say the route label, what type of route it is, and which depot, which main street it's gonna run on if it mentions that, and which terminal from end to end it will serve. Okay, in which depot would that proposed route be dispatched from? All right. So once again, I'm going to be quiet now, and I'm going to showcase you guys all these routes. Enjoy. Okay, guys. Before I start off my summary, right? As I was recording my summary and my final thoughts of the local network for the Brooklyn bus redesign plan, right? I forgot to mention the B69 route. For those of you who don't know, the B69 route is part of the B67 branch and has been like that since 2010. Okay, because as we all know, back in before 2010, the B69 used to operate between downtown Brooklyn Sand Street and Prospect Park West 20th Street. Okay, via 8th Avenue and Prospect Park West. Now, okay, today from 2010 up until today, the B69 operates between downtown Brooklyn Sand Street and Kensington Cortelli Road via Vanderbilt Avenue, Flatbush Avenue, 7th Avenue, and McDonald Avenue. Okay? I feel like the B69 for the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign plan, right? I feel like the B69 needs to get off of Flatbush and 7th Avenue and go back to traveling on its original route on 8th Avenue, heading northbound, and let's see if I can pull it up right here, and Prospect Park West. Okay? Because that the B69, it would no longer serve Kensington, nor will it serve downtown Brooklyn, because the B69 route is going to operate between Windsor. It's going to operate between Windsor Terrace. Yep, it's going to operate along Windsor Terrace, Pritchard Square, Pritchard Circle, Pritchard Martel Pritchard Circle, and Greenpoint Meeker Avenue, where the B48 currently terminates at. And since that the B48 and the B69 are swapping northern terminuses, the existing B48 is currently operating at all times. Underneath the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign plan, underneath the Brooklyn Bus redesign draft plan, that's not happening. It's going to operate between the hours of 5:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. While the B69, on the other hand, is having an increased frequency span of service, also operating between the hours of 5:30 a.m. to 12:30 a.m. Oh wait, I'm sorry. I remember now. I take that back. The B48 underneath the draft plan will operate between the hours of 4:30 a.m. between the time of 4:30 a.m. to 1:30 a.m. If that's the case, then the B69 route should operate at all times. Okay? And I forgot to mention about the B12, right? Since we're going to talk about the B12, right? The B12 should go back to operating to Cypress Hills, Sheridan Avenue at all times. Alright, that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening, and stay tuned for my summary. Alright, y'all, and we're back. I hope that you enjoyed the routes and paused the video and read them routes carefully as we discussed. Okay, so I am here with my summary. Alright, so in the beginning of the video, I stick by my original stance that I said in the video. The Brooklyn Bus Network is exactly the same as the Queens Bus Redesign Network. in terms of the 4 different types of routes, okay, where we have the local route, the limited stop route, the rush or zone routes, and the crosstown select bus service routes. All right. Unlike Queens, which has 85 proposed routes, which consists of 35 local, 27 rush, 60 limited, and 7 crosstown select bus service routes. The Brooklyn Bus Network redesign plan will have a total proposal of 69 routes in the local network, which consists of 54 local routes, 3 3 rush routes, 5 cross-south select bus service routes, and only a total of 7 limited bus stop routes. Alright? And here are the bus routes that will be retired. Hear me out now. The bus routes from the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign plan that are slated to be retired are currently the B2, which operates between the Kings Plaza Shopping Center and the Kings Highway B&Q train subway station. The B24, which operates between Williamsburg and Greenpoint via Sunnyside, Queens. And the B32, B32, four routes to be retired, in fact. The B32, which currently operates between Williamsburg and Long Island City. And last but not least, the B84, which operates between Gateway Center, in fact, and the New Lots Avenue 3 train station. Alright, and also, we have a handful of new routes, which I'm going to list to you right now, which will be the B5 Limited, which will be part of the B6 branch route that will operate between Gravesend and Gateway Mall. The newly B10 Limited, which will operate in the branch of the B12 as a local route, but here's the thing though, the B10 on its western end will terminate at the Prospect Park, B, Q, and S stations instead of Ocean and Parkside Avenue where the B12 terminates at. Okay, so those of you who don't know, the B10, it will operate as a limited route to the local B12, but this route will operate on weekdays only. Yep, this route will operate only on weekdays only. Okay? And, yeah, I forgot to mention, right? The B5, yeah, it will operate throughout most of the existing B84 route between Cozine Avenue and the Gateway Center Mall, while the B6 Limited, on the other hand, will operate between Cozine Avenue and the East New York New Lots Avenue 3 train station. Okay, so that's that. Another new route will be the proposed B20 Rush, but the B20 Rush is going to be a new route type, meaning that the B20 will connect desolate area neighborhoods to the subways with both a non-stop express and local portions along segments of its route. Okay? And I had this labeled as an East New York route because of the way how the route has been redrawn. Okay? There will be no B20 service between Broadway Junction and Ridgewood. Okay? That will be covered from not only a rerouted but an extended B7 route, which will no longer serve the Halsey Street station on the BMT Jamaica line, but would instead serve the Chauncey Street station. It will operate along the existing B7 route to get to and from Fresh Pond. Okay, and if we're being completely honest right here, that B7 should be an all-time route. That B7 route should be a completely all-time route. Should be a full-time all-time route. Okay? Yes. And in order for the B20 to be a rush route, because you know with the Queens Bus redesign plan, right? We have a handful of rush routes that's not gonna stop everywhere, right? But there'll be like a local or a limited stop route that will provide coverage for the rush routes that will be skipping some stops. Okay, like for example, in the Queens Bus Network redesign plan, in the Merrick Boulevard branch, right? You got the Q4, the Q5, the Q84, the Q85, and the proposed Q86. Skipping stops on Merrick Boulevard. Well, we're gonna have the proposed Q25. That's gonna be extended from Parsons Boulevard to serve Merrick Boulevard to Springfield Gardens. You know, due to the fact that Merrick Boulevard between Hillside Avenue and Springfield Boulevard has a functioning bus lane. Okay? So that's that. So that's that. Next new route type that we have would be the B6 route. No, sorry, not B6. B26 Rush. Okay, which will make select stops along Fulton Street, but evenly spaced stops will be provided along Halsey Street. All right, so along Fulton Street we will have the B25 local making all stops along Fulton Street, while the B26 gets to act like an express route along Fulton Street between Bedford and Nostrand all the way out to downtown Brooklyn. Alright, and there's something you need to know about the B25. The B25 route would no longer serve downtown Brooklyn during the overnight hours, because as you all know, the B25 will keep its existing route except late nights, when it will operate between Broadway Junction and the Franklin Avenue A train and shuttle Franklin Avenue shuttle station. The reason why I say A train in this because we already know that C trains don't run overnight. That's number one, and number two, the A runs local. That's two, and three, stops that will be provided along Fulton Street will be provided by the B26 Rush. Okay, so if you're a late night B25 rider and you utilize that route to get to and from downtown Brooklyn on the B25 during the overnight hours, your best bet is to either use the overnight A local train or the B26 bus routes, which will be rerouted off from Putnam Avenue to Fulton Street. So this means that the B26 bus will no longer run on Putnam Avenue. Alright, so the next couple of routes I want to talk about is the B60, B57, B27, B57, and B62. Okay, guys, as we learned from the Queens Bus Network redesign plan, right, that the B57 will be extended up north from Maspeth to Jackson Heights Roosevelt Avenue subway station, right? That's its northern end, but on its southern end, the B57 will be shortened to downtown Brooklyn, right? The B57 will be shortened to downtown Brooklyn, while a whole new bus route is going to operate along Smith and Court Streets, and it'll operate between Red Hook and Vinegar Hill. That new route will be the B27 route, and that route will operate the same time and frequencies that the B57 operates now. Because we all know because we all know that right now the B57 does not have overnight service. But as part of both the Brooklyn and the Queens redesign plan, we just learned from both redesign plans, one for Brooklyn, one for Queens, of course, that the B57 would get back its overnight service. Because if you were to look back at the 2010 service cuts, right, we all know that the B57 lost its overnight service. That's number one. And number two, it got extended to Red Hook to provide coverage for the B for the former for the B75 and the B77 routes, both routes that got slashed back in the 2010 service cuts. Back in the 2010 service cuts. Alright, so that's that. And the B62 on the other hand will be extended from Long Island City to Astoria to provide local/limited stop service along 21st Street in Queens to compensate for the Q69 rush route. Okay? Okay, now, as we all know from the Queens Bus Redesign Plan, the Q100 bus route will be discontinued completely. Alright, so which other route that we can talk about next? Oh, by the way, yeah, the B67, right? The B67 will stay as it is. It will no longer serve South Williamsburg. It will terminate at Vinegar Hill. But me personally, I feel like the B67 can be extended along 16th Avenue to compensate for the loss. Yeah, to compensate for the loss of the B23 route back from the 2010 service cuts, because we all know that for a lot of things, that one, the B103 route would no longer operate between Midwood and downtown Brooklyn. That's number one. I already know that them Spring Creek B103 operators are having a huge sigh of relief, because I already know for a fact that there's a lot of whining and complaining about how long the B103 route is and nowadays we see a lot of B103 routes terminating at Flatbush Avenue 2 and 5 train stations. Why? It's because a lot of bus operators don't want to drive and make that trip all the way out to downtown Brooklyn. And as you know, if you hop on a B103 bus that's going to terminate at the Flatbush Avenue station, terrific, great. But when there's a B103 bus that's heading out to downtown Brooklyn, Tillery Street, right? That bus will be full to the brim along Avenue M, Avenue H, coming from Canarsie. And as soon as that bus reach the junction, that bus gets empty. That bus gets all types of empty. And I'm talking about the B103 buses that be heading out to downtown Brooklyn via Cortellia Road, Coney Island Avenue, Church Avenue, the Prospect Expressway, and you know they make that ride along Prospect Expressway. They will get off at the 3rd Avenue, 4th Avenue exit. You know, northbound route utilizes 3rd Avenue, southbound route utilizes 4th Avenue, and you know they hop on the Prospect Expressway, and the southbound route, you know, it gets off somewhere along McDonald Avenue, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it utilizes McDonald Avenue, Church Avenue, then Coney Island Avenue, then Cortellia Road, then Flatbush, and connects with the junction. You know how it goes already. Yeah, we all know how that goes already. So yeah, so the B103 will only operate between Brooklyn College and East New York New Lots Avenue 3 train station. Alright, so the B103 is one of those routes that has been extended on its eastern end to East New York. Let's keep that in mind. Alright? Okay, so the B81, right? Since the B103 will not operate to and from, will not operate between Midwood and downtown Brooklyn, we have this new route called the B81. And don't get me wrong, per se, that B81, it kind of gives me B23 vibes. You know what I'm saying? Because that route is going to dominate Cortelli Road between Flatbush Avenue and McDonald Avenue, and it's going to go to Red Hook, and along 9th Street, and and all that stuff. But here's my thing, right? Here's my thing, right? I was expecting to see a return of the B23 route, but we got something else in return instead. We got the B81. Um, let's see. Oh, we have the B16 that's going to be rerouted on 12th Avenue, 13th Avenue in opposite directions. It's going to serve the 62nd Street, New York Avenue, D&N train stop. It's not going to terminate at Prospect Park, at Lefferts Gardens Prospect Park Station. Instead, it's going to operate along Clarkson Avenue to serve the Kings County Hospital, the SUNY Downstate Hospital, the Jewish Medical Center, and it's going to terminate at Clarkson and Utica Avenues. Okay, this is a bus route whose network is going to connect you not only with the B41, the B40 and the B41 XT. Those two new routes we're going to talk about at a later time, so bear with me. But it's also going to connect you with the B44, the B44 SBS, the B49, which will be on North Street and New York Avenues, which also we're going to talk about that too as well. The B46 and the B46 select bus service on Utica Avenue. And to be honest, it should be extended out to Remsen Avenue if that's possible. So that way it can also connect with the B6, with the B17 and B47 as well. Yeah, that's that. Okay, next. The Flatbush Avenue B41. Yeah, as we all know, I know a lot of you have been waiting for the day for the B41 to have its very own select bus service route. Okay? I know. We were waiting for this day, but please bear with me. Bear with me because we was waiting for this day and and I know some people, I'm not gonna say any names, but I know a lot of people was waiting for some type of select bus service for Flatbush Avenue, and it was in the works too. It was in the works too because if you look at the video that I did back 5 years ago where I did a review on the Better Bus initiatives, all right, the MTA and the New York City Department of Transportation released a whole slew of bus routes that could be potential that could potentially join the New York City's bus rapid transit family, also known as Select Bus Service. For those of you who don't know, Select Bus Service is New York City's brand for bus rapid transit, BRT, SBS, BRT. All right. So we have the B41 local, which will operate between downtown Brooklyn and Kings Plaza. Duh, because there's a lot more because there's a lot more frequency of B41 buses to Kings Plaza than there are to Bergen Beach. Because right now the existing B41, right, it serves both the Kings Plaza and the Bergen Beach branches. It be serving both the Kings Plaza and Bergen Beach, Veterans Avenue. So yeah, the whole B41 local will operate between downtown Brooklyn and Kings Plaza. Now, the MTA has literally taken the B41 Limited and transitioned the B41 Limited into the B41 XT. XT stands for Crosstown SBS, Crosstown Select Bus Service Route. Alright? And that route will operate between downtown Brooklyn and Kings Plaza. But here's the catch, though: it's gonna have the same operating time and frequency as the existing B41 Limited to Kings Plaza. Okay, and both the B41 local and the B41 XT will terminate at Court Street and Jorelemont Street, and it will start service at Court Street and Livingston Street. Yeah, so that's that. Now, we have a whole new rush route. This is the third and final rush route that we're going to talk about, because we all know that Brooklyn Bus Network Redesign Plan has 3 proposed bus routes. The B20 will operate all day, no overnight service. Oh, by the way, B20, right? The B83 will have overnight service, and it will operate along a streamlined path along Pennsylvania Avenue at all times, except for the fact that during late night hours, the proposed B83 local would operate between will operate between Broadway Junction and Spring Creek Towers. Now, so the next route, oh yeah, the B40, right? The B40 is a newly proposed it's a newly proposed rush zone route, okay, that will operate between the Prospect Park subway station and Bergen Beach Veterans Avenue. It will still be part of the B41 branch, of course, but these are one of these routes with different terminuses that will have a whole different route of its own. Okay, in Queens. Okay, let's look at Queens for a second. Think of the Q5 route, right? We all know that the Q5 has 2 branches. You got your Rosedale branch, LIR stop, and you got your Green Acres branch, right? The proposed Q5 will operate between Parsons Archer and Rosedale 147th Avenue along the existing Q85 Rosedale route, serving both the Long Island Railroad stop and 147th Avenue to 143rd Street and beyond, right? The Green Acres branch of Merrick Boulevard will be a whole different route of its own, named the Q86 route, which will be an all-day route that will operate between Parsons Archer and Green Acres. The Q86 route will have the same operating frequencies as the Q5 to Green Acres. Alright? Yes, and another route that comes into mind is the Q46 route. We all know that the Q46 serve both the Long Island Jewish Medical Center and Glen Oaks, right? The proposed Q46 will operate between Union Turnpike, will operate between Queens Boulevard and LIJ Hospital, while the whole new Q48 route, on the other hand, will operate weekdays only between Queens Boulevard and Glen Oaks. Yeah, so that's that. So that's where the B40 comes into mind, right? The B40 will operate underneath the B41 branch, but as a rush route between Bergen Beach and the Prospect Park B&Q train station. Okay, there we go. Okay, and the B17 on the other hand, right? The B17 will continue to operate between Canarsie and between Crown Heights Eastern Parkway and Canarsie Seaview Avenue. Alright? Here's the catch though. The weekday only branch of the B17, which is the East 80th Street branch, will no longer be served by the B17. In fact, instead, it will be served by a whole new route called the B76 route, which will operate between Broadway Junction and Canarsie East 70th Street, operate along Rockaway Avenue, Rockaway Parkway, Avenue L, and East 80th Street. That's that. What other route that comes into mind per se? Oh yes, we're gonna talk about some limited routes real quick. There's like some limited routes that will no longer be in operational, and that will be the B35 limited. Well, I'm gonna go into the B35 limited first. All right, the B35 limited, the B35 local, and the B15, and the newly proposed B55 XT. All right, so the B35 local will operate between Sunset Park and Brownsville, making all local stops. Now, the B35 Limited will be discontinued, and it will be replaced by a brand new crosstown select bus service route named the B55. Yes, the B55. The B55 will be a whole new route that will operate along Church Avenue between Kensington, McDonald Avenue, and Bronxville, Madagascar Boulevard, and then it will operate along the existing part of the B15 route between Brownsville and JFK Airport. The B15 bus route will no longer serve JFK Airport. Think of it as a divorce, a B15 being divorced from JFK Airport. Just like how the Q33 was divorced from LaGuardia Airport when the Q70 came into fruition. And as part of the Queen's Redesign bus plan, right, the existing B48 of today will cease to exist, and it will be discontinued, and it will be replaced by the Q50, which will be a crosstown select bus service route, which will operate between the Bronx and LaGuardia Airport via via the Grand Central Parkway. Okay, and this B55 is going to operate the same way how the B15 routes. You know, the B15, it will hop along the Conduit Avenue. It will operate along the Conduit Avenue line, Conduit Avenue Street, and it will utilize the there's a highway. I completely forgot the name for it. I'm trying to look for it right now as we speak. If I can find it, if I can find it, if I can find it, if I can find it. Oh yeah, Conduit Avenue. Oh yes. Yes, it will operate along Conduit Avenue and the Nassau Expressway. It will operate along Conduit Avenue and the Nassau Expressway. Okay, Conduit Avenue and the Nassau Expressway. All right, and that whole BRT route for Church Avenue for B35 and B15, it was in the works. It was in fruition. Okay, so the newly proposed B55 route, right? It'll be the select bus route to both the B15 and the B35, which will be local routes. Okay, and speaking of the B15, right? It'll be extended up north to serve the Montrose Avenue L train station. It will no longer terminate at Woodhull Hospital due to the fact that the B46 will terminate at Bedford Stuyvesant Woodhull Hospital and will operate via Utica Avenue, along with the B47, which operates along Ralph Avenue. Okay? Now, okay? Now, the B53 route, right? As we all know, the B53 route will be replacing four routes. Okay, it'll be replacing the existing Q24 route west of Broadway Junction. By the way, the Q24 will no longer run Broadway. Will no longer operate along Broadway. It will terminate at Broadway Junction. Okay. So the B53 will replace the western portion of the existing Q24 route. It's going to replace the B32 route entirely. It's going to replace the B46 route, the 6th route up north on Broadway past Woodhill Hospital. And it's going to operate along, and it's going to place the B32 entirely, and it's going to operate in the northern section of the B24 route serving Sunnyside, Queens. The B53 route will operate between Broadway Junction and Sunnyside. Okay. The next route that comes into mind is the B38. B38, long story short, limited stop service will be discontinued. Let's see. B38 route, B38 limited route will be discontinued. All B38 buses will be local and will make all stops. All the proposed stops. Long story short, full period, full stop. Oh, and by the way, it will no longer serve the Metropolitan Avenue branch. The Metropolitan Avenue branch of the B38 will be covered by the proposed higher frequency routes of the B57 along Flushing Avenue and the Q54 along Metropolitan Avenue. All right. Let me see. And of course, we got the B45 route. It's going to be extended out to East New York, terminating at the Utica Avenue C train station. Long story short. The B48 route, however, is going to operate between Flatbush and downtown Brooklyn. It will no longer terminate at Prospect Park. It will be extended past Prospect Park to terminate at the Church Avenue station stop. Church Avenue being Q train station stop. It's going to terminate at downtown Brooklyn Sand Street. It will no longer go to Greenpoint. It will no longer go to Greenpoint. Okay, the B43 route is going on another street. Let's see. Oh yes, I already talked about the B57 already. Oh, the B49 route. There's a lot of things with the B49 route, right? First things first. The B49 route will no longer operate southbound along Bedford Avenue. In fact, it's going to be rerouted on Nostrand Avenue because there's an existing bus lane on Nostrand Avenue already, and it will provide a more faster service on Nostrand Avenue than it would on Bedford Avenue. That's number one. Number two, it's going to operate northbound along New York Avenue, serving Kings County Medical Center and SUNY Downstate and the Jewish Medical Center. Okay, replacing the northbound B44 service there, while the B44 local, on the other hand, will operate along Rogers Avenue with the B44 select bus service. And the B49 bus will no longer go to Manhattan Beach. It will operate to the Coney Island Sewell Avenue subway station, swapping southern terminuses and time span and frequencies with the B68. The B68, however, on the other hand, will operate between Manhattan Bridge, Kingsborough Community College, and will have an operating time of 4:30 a.m. from 4 a.m. to 2 a.m. All right. Now, would that mean that there'll be a potential AM Rush B68 limited run to Kingsborough Community College? I'm not sure. Maybe sometime down the line, we'll see. All right. And something you need to know about the 44 select bus service, right? It will no longer serve Sheepshead Bay Knapp Street. Instead, it's going to operate along Avenue Z between Nostrand Avenue and Ocean Parkway, serving the future ADA accessible Sheepshead Bay B&Q train express station stop. Alright, so that's that. And the the B82 would no longer operate to Coney Island. That's going to be replaced by the B64, which will run on Cropsey Avenue. The B82 will run on Short Parkway, replacing B6 service there, while the B6 on the other hand will run on Cropsey Avenue, terminating at Gravesend. All B5 limited, B6 local, B6 limited, B82 local, and B82 crosstown select bus services will terminate at Cropsey Avenue, Bay 38th Street. Yeah, so that's that. And the B65 route will be realigned along Atlantic Avenue to serve Atlantic Avenue Barclays Center. Alright, so that's pretty much it. Oh. By the way. If the MTA wants to discontinue the B103 service between Midwood and downtown Brooklyn, they better increase service and frequency on the B37 route, because that will be extremely beneficial to all the displaced B103 riders. And the B37 should be able to either be extended back up to downtown Brooklyn to terminate at Tillery Street, or you extend the B37 route to City Hall Park Road in Manhattan. These are all options. Nothing's written in stone here. Literally nothing's written in stone here. Alright. And the Q50. Okay, now we have a whole slew. We have more than a handful of Queens routes that are intertwined with the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign plan. So let's talk about them, shall we? First, the Q8. As we all learned, the Q8 will no longer serve Gateway Mall. It will be replaced by the B13, which will run on Euclid Avenue and Fountain Avenue to Gateway Mall. And the B13 route will be an all-time route. And it's rerouted in some, and the B13 is rerouted up on its northern section, I believe, but it will still terminate at Woodhull Hall. It will still terminate in Bushwick. Alright. It will still terminate at DeKalb Avenue, Wyckoff Avenue. So that's that. The Q59, on the other hand, it will no longer run on the back streets of Broadway, Brooklyn. Instead, it will run the same route as the Q54 gets to and from Wilsonburg. So it'll run that on par with the Q54. So that's that. And we have the Q35 Rush. The Q35 Rush will make key stops along Flatbush Avenue. That's that. The B58 Limited and the Q98 XT. Been there, done that. Nothing's changed really, except the Q58 will run on Corona Avenue. The Q98 XT will run on Horace Harding Expressway, providing a stop at the Queens Center Shopping Mall in Queens. That's that. The Q68 will replace service in Steinway Street in Queens with the Q101. It will replace Q101 service in Queens, and it will replace the southern section of the B24 route in Queens in Brooklyn as well. Now the Q68 route will not serve Midtown Manhattan. You would have to transfer to the Q32 or Q60 for that. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it for that one. Okay. And last but not least, no. Next we have the Q51XT. All right, which is a whole new route that will operate between Cambria Heights, Queens, and Gateway Center Mall in Brooklyn via Linden Boulevard, Rockaway Boulevard, Crossway Boulevard, and Belt Parkway, which is a very good route, to be honest with you. By the way, do you know that Transit had a route in store for a Linden Boulevard crosstown route that can go all the way out to South Onslow Park, but the MTA gave up on that route. I'm happy that the Queens Redesign Network plan is happening. I'm also happy that the Brooklyn Bus Network Redesign plan is happening, and yeah, we have to get the ball rolling and redesign our entire bus network. And once again, Gateway Mall has 24/7 service now. We'll have 24/7 service with the Q51XT and the B13 route. The B5 and the B38 will also serve Gateway Mall, but it will not serve. But here's the thing, right? The B5 Limited will not operate during overnight hours, and the B83 local route will not serve Gateway Mall during the overnight hours. Yeah, so there's that. And last but not least, we have the Q109 route. Yes, sir. The Q109 route. Now, we all know that the B7 route it's no longer gonna operate to Brooklyn, right? It will no longer serve Brooklyn. Instead, it's gonna be a streamlined route along the Rockaway Boulevard, serving the 75th Street, Elders Lane J and Z train stop, which is at the borderline between Brooklyn and Queens, and Five Towns, Sederhurst Five Towns in Nassau County. So the B7 will no longer serve East New York Euclid Avenue Station. That'll be left to the Q109 route, which will operate along Sutter Avenue to Pitkin Avenue to get to the East New York Euclid Avenue subway station, replacing the B37 service there. Placing the B7 bus route service there. And there you have it. There you have it for the Queens Bus Network redesign plan, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much. My overall view of the Brooklyn Bus Network redesign plan is the local network portion of it is very good. You know, it's well detailed, it's well thought out. It's laid out and planned, and you know what? They learned a lesson from the Queens Bus Network redesign plan. And I cannot wait to see the Brooklyn Bus redesign plan roll out. But before Brooklyn's bus network plan can come into fruition, Queens own needs to come into fruition first. So Queens bus network redesign plan needs to be implemented, and then Brooklyn's own needs to be implemented, and that's pretty much it. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you like, share, comment, subscribe to the Hub for more hot transit content. Make sure you follow the Hub on Twitter, like and follow the Hub Facebook page, and follow the Hub's Facebook page. Alright? Once again, this is the Transportation Hub signing off. We will talk about the Brooklyn express bus network plan in the next video, where I will see all of you guys at the next stop.